Well, hello everyone. K Kim here from the Traders Club, and thanks again for tuning in. Hope you guys are, enjoying early stage of fall. This is where you get a little bit of chilly wind, and I don't know. I'm kind of a fall kind of guy. I think I say this every fall. Something about fall weather just makes me feel like fall kind of guy, right? Anyway, so. Well, enough of the small talk here, and obviously market, we saw some big decline. Let me just tell you though, we saw, you want to call it a correction, abrupt sell-off, whatever it is. We've never seen this kind of thing happening in this short amount of period of time, right? This thing came down in about 3 days. I went back, historically speaking, and I studied S&P 500, studied Dow Jones, studied Russell, and see we've ever seen something like this happening, like just 3 days, boom, boom, bang, right? And we haven't. We haven't seen something like this. So we're actually witnessing or encountering or being part of historical event. So I know it is, if you're a long-term trader, if you're a long-term investor, these kind of things would really, put fear and just really startle you a little bit. But something that, my uncle told me when I first started to learn how to drive, and he said, "Kay, you're swerving because you're looking too close. You're looking up too close. You have to look far out. If you look far out, your car will go straight." And there's much wisdom in that, because I started to realize in that, we can have to learn from that statement in life and in trading as well, right? Obviously there are always worries and things in life, and that's all we look at, just little stupid things, and then we ruin our day because of that. And there are people so much unfortunate, and they trying to live best of their life, but we're end of the world because there's some guy who just cut you off, or you couldn't find your key when you're busy. But obviously in trading, everybody's have a different time frame. So some of you, what I'm trying to say, it doesn't make sense at all, you know what I'm saying? But if you're more of a longer term, then it makes sense that we must analyze, we must ascertain what is it that we're seeing right now. Are we seeing the preview before another market crash, financial collapse, or global meltdown? I'm hearing all kinds of stuff, right? Now it's the depression or recession or steep correction, market crash is not enough. We gotta say a global, right? A global collapse. That's the actually term that I've been hearing last few years. And I'll be honest with you, there are people who've been calling, that we're going to see some sharp decline. Some people have been calling it for 2 years, and finally they get it right. They got it right this time. But in a process of 2 years, a year, and how many long time they've been trying to call this, can you imagine, trying to call the market up, it didn't work out, and you can say, well, finally they are making money. Well, all the money they lost trying to call market the last 2 years, they really haven't made any money. And so, going back to a global market meltdown or global collapse, right? That's the word that we're hearing a lot. So the question is that what's happening, right? Are we seeing some massive crash? We're gonna get into this recession so great that that Dow Jones is going to go to below 4,000. We're going to get back into this, megaphone pattern. This was a big whoops. This was a big major, right, bull trap. And then we're going to come all the way back down to 6,000. To be fair, I've heard that theory back in 2013 right here. And we're talking about, major strategists. Major fund managers are coming out on TV and saying that we have this megaphone pattern. This economy is not stable, and therefore we're gonna come down to below 6,000 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Just a side note that we will be looking at actual index today. I know usually when I do my analysis, I look at Dow Jones, like Diamond, Spider, IWMQs, but we're gonna look at the index itself today because I want to spend some time in the indices today, and I don't know how long it's gonna take. Obviously, you'll know because you're listening to or watching the video. They have already recorded, so it'll tell you how long it is. But as I'm recording this, I don't know how long it's gonna be, so I really don't care. But I just really want to inform you guys what I think the market is, and I want to be honest. Let me be honest, right? I always been honest with you guys. I always been real with the guys. To all my followers on Stock Twits and Twitter, and my blog followers, and also my members, right? I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this coming. I want to get that out there. I really didn't see this coming. I thought we might have another about 6 months to a year before this kind of something like this happened. And plus, many times when the market get steep decline like this, it kind of does something. We at least get some kind of a primary term lower high. We haven't seen any of that. This was just boom, bam, like it just came down hard, like financial did, Nasdaq did, Russell did, without any sort of kind of warning signal. We did see some warning signal on the S&P 500 and possibly on the Russell, but I decided that because of where the financials were, because where the Nasdaqs were, and because of, even in a Russell in a big picture, I thought that it's you know what I'm saying, before we see this kind of decline, there will be a little bit more evidence before that happened, right? So I want to just come clean that I didn't see this happening, and with the recent decline, we did have to close some of our positions and get stopped out, but we're still holding a majority of our positions, including Apple, which we want to talk about. Including Apple. I'm holding Apple. But we did have to close some positions when the declines started happening, and we had to close some positions with loss. So I want to just come clean, and I want to be real with you guys that I'm not going to make excuse, all that other different stuff. I'm just going to say, hey, I didn't see this coming. But, we're all our market, student of this market, and I'm actually glad that, I've learned something through this, and I'm sure you guys as well. And I just want to encourage you that do not give up. I mean, if this really makes you feel like, oh my gosh, like, how can I didn't see this? There are some people that, did see this happening. Let me tell you something. Some people who did call this happening, they've been calling this for a really long time. Okay, so sooner or later, they're bound to, be right. And those people, you think they're making money. No, they're trying to short this market, trying to get some put last couple years, last 6 months, 8 months. They lost a whole bunch of money trying to do that. So they really ain't making a lot of money. Plus, a lot of fund managers, a lot of strategists, a lot of Wall Street people right now is at a loss because of this move. Only some few people was able to probably even create those big central bankers, and those people probably created this. And there could be different reasons. They created this so that they could get out and then buy back at a cheaper price. We don't know. As a common people, we really wouldn't know what really happened, why it happened. But we must accept that it happened and then trying to figure out what could be next from this point on. Does that make sense? So again, I'm going to take my time today, and I'm going to go through, Dow Jones index, look at S&P 500, the Nasdaq index itself, and the Russell, right? And then we'll see what they convey, right? Yes, we did see very, very brief decline or very abrupt sell-off in about 3 to 4 days. And I told you this before, a straight down move does not scare me. I just don't get scared of straight down move. What I get scared is that if the bear market is going to commence, we will need at least a primary term lower high, a cultivation of a major topping pattern. And as of today, we're still in a major term uptrend without a proper reversal pattern. And the argument might be, the theorist might say that the global market collapse, the bear market is gonna commence from this one. What they would say is that we're probably going to get a bounce, and we're probably gonna bounce to create that lower high. If that's the case, if we actually create that lower high and break below, pivot, because it has been old resistance, right? Potentially be new support. We're not sure yet, but old resistance becoming new support could be. Not sure yet as of today. If we make that lower high in a primary term, and then we break below that pivot, then I think we're in a big trouble. I think then that could potentially get us even 50% decline. If we just do a Fibonacci analysis right here, could even get us back down here. That could be a pretty steep correction. I don't know about coming all the way to 6,000. You know what I'm saying? That just, please don't say that right now. I really don't know about that. But even this is pretty crazy coming down, because then this will be a commencement of bear market. And bear market can last long. And because of if that happens, then this will be a massive bull trap. And when we have a fake breakout, the decline can be that much more furious. It's actually much more, when you get actually fake breakouts, actually the decline is much more furious than if you would have hit this resistance and rolled over. Because then a lot of times another scenario might be that it comes down, roll over, but it doesn't come all the way down. What it does is it comes stop short somewhere, and then we break through and creates that primary term higher low, and then we establish an uptrend. But because we kind of drive right through it, we did see kind of topping pattern here. If I zoom in, this was when a lot of people are calling 6,000 on the Dow Jones, and that's just horrendous number, right? And we continued on for 2 years. So here is a very dire situation on the Dow Jones itself. Again, I just want to make sure we are looking at weekly chart. I don't know if I clarified that. We are looking at weekly chart because I'm looking at long term. Okay, I'm giving you guys long term analysis at this point. I'll go back and I'll do a minor term analysis as well. So first of all, we are right on this, and the question is, are the resistance, the old resistance, going to become a new support? And then we're going to bounce from it, right? If that's the case, if we bounce from it, I believe we would have pretty big move to the upside. That's a lot of times what happens, right? Because move like this, let me actually go to weekly chart. Actually, let me go to, this is weekly RSI. Just gotta give you guys a quick overview of when it's an uptrend, when we get to that oversold status. Because currently you're looking at log scale of Dow Jones Industrial Average weekly chart. We've seen abrupt sell-off before, like this right here. We had an abrupt sell-off. We had an abrupt sell-off there. You can see we had an abrupt sell-off here as well. There as well. And that was 1998. About 2 years we continued on after the abrupt sell-off. Right? And we're not going to count the downtrend. We're just talking about an uptrend. Right? And we had a pretty kind of abrupt sell-off there. Right there as well. And then, again, this is important right here. All resistance. Right? New support. We're just at that. We're just talking about that. All resistance, new support, talking about, right? And what happened after that? When the new support became actually a support in 1984, we continued on bullish for about 3 years. Remember where we're at today? We're right here, right? So if we bounce from that point on, right? So last time RSI was here. Why, there's a rough sell-off there. RSI here. RSI there. RSI here. RSI there. And do I know for sure? Is it gonna bounce? No. I'm merely giving you a possibility here, so you guys understand what's going on here, right? So weekly RSI sentiment tells us that we are in this vicinity that could potentially be a primary term higher low before this thing just takes off. But then again, are we gonna bounce here? And if when we do bounce, if this actually bounces from this point on, you can see how clearly this thing became all resistance new support, right? Even then, all resistance here, you can see right there, all resistance became a new support, and then we had that move. If this thing gets up and then comes down, then that's a problem. This will be a problem right here. That will be a very massive major topping pattern that has formed above this pivot level, and then this could really be crazy. But same thing could be said, you know, in the past as well. There's always these insinuations and whatnot, you know, like this one. This was back in 1998, July 1998. We had a pretty, and if anything, that's July 1998 on the Dow Jones. It's pretty similar to what we're seeing today. It's pretty similar as far as the sentiment is concerned. Same thing with the RSI, right? This is July 19, right here, July 1998. See that? And then again, this was today. Pretty similar to back in 2011 correction as well, July 2011. Interesting to note that July, August is always that time of year. It tends to, because this is what, right now is August. This was July. This was July, August, September. Seems like that's kind of time of the year that people get fearful. And then I would have done the same analysis at this time. Interesting to note that we're also right on the weekly 100 SMA. Again, we're still looking at the weekly there. Weekly 100 SMA. That right there is weekly simple moving average, 100 SMA. Right? It's interesting to note that we're just right on there today as well. I know we got slightly below it, but again, slightly below. I wouldn't be too concerned about being slightly below, but it's the vicinity, because we did get slightly below here as well. So we're in that vicinity, that's important. So we have similar sentiment. So what I'm trying to get at is the analysis same. Is that the problem at this point is, well, we had this kind of abrupt sell-off. Are we going to get up and create that major term, primary term, lower high, and then this thing crash and go to nothing, 4,000? And I can almost hear it. I can almost hear what people are saying back here in 1998 July. What majority of people are saying, right? Get ready for a global market meltdown. Get ready for a steep recession. Get ready for Dow Jones getting below 3,000. All kinds of shenanigans. This thing is unsustainable, right? This move right here from 1988, that is unsustainable. We're in a bubble territory. We just came pulled down super fast. This thing is going to go to 3,000. I can almost hear what people are saying. And then what happened? We had another bullish run for 2 years. And then finally, we did get into a bear market. But we had a one last, move. But to be honest, or to be fair, this wasn't a topping pattern, was it? No, it wasn't. What was a topping pattern? This was. Because we really had a primary term lower high at this point. You can see that. Primary term lower high. And then we got a lower low. So we had a topping pattern. Remember, I always go back to Dow theory. The trend is assumed to be in effect until it give us a clear signal that it has been reversed. What is a downtrend? Lower lows and lower highs. Well, here we really don't have lower high, do we? No. Again, we're looking at weekly chart because we're trying to forecast a long-term primary term uptrend. So let's go back right now. Do we have a lower high? And you're like, well, isn't it a lower high? No, that's not. We're talking about primary term low high, which that requires something like this. Okay? This was on what it looked like potentially be a lower high here, which then never confirmed. This, you see that? That's a pretty, you know, definite or vivid lower high. You can see that lower high here. And then we cleared that. Boom. Because the pullback and the move up, that's a pretty significant, you can see that that's a pretty significant lower high. That right there, you see, I can't really look at that because you look at a little pullback, going a little, I mean, that's what market does. It's up and down all day long. So I really can't categorize this as a lower high, at least in a primary term. Maybe a minor to intermediate term lower high, yes. Maybe that's what we saw that, which is justifiable. We had a minor term, intermediate term lower high, and then we came down, yes. But let's have primary term. If this thing goes up and then roll over, then we have a big problem as far as the technical is concerned. But then again, is that what's going to happen? Or are we going to have another bullish run for the next year or so before this market actually getting into? And you never know. You never know if you're going to actually get into a market correction or crash or market meltdown or whatever. Because look at this. Starting from 1974 all the way to 2000. That's a 26 years of bullish run without actually having any kind of crash or any kind of, you know, meltdown or, you know what I'm saying? We had a sharp decline in between. Look at this move. That thing just came down. Though it still wasn't that fast. It didn't happen like 3-4 days like we saw today. And what does it matter how fast it does? Isn't that just because it went faster, isn't it more furious? That's not the case in the market. The market, what it needs, a cultivation. Even here, we had a cultivation, lower high right here. You can see a visible lower high right there. Same thing right here. We had a visible lower highs right here. We don't have any visible lower high yet. Again, there could be another one. There could be, it is going back up to create that lower high. But let's not assume yet. Let's not assume that yet. All right, we're close to 200 SMA on a weekly chart, right? It actually looks a little bit better if we go to monthly, just because we're working with such a big trend. You can see if we go to monthly, it works so much better. It looks so much better. Right there, see. So are we seeing something similar like this? Old resistance and new support, and look at that move. So a lot of times but if this thing was a fake breakout right here, this was a massive bull trap, this could have came down pretty hard. At least maybe come down to that support and bounce up here. Could have been. But because once it acted as support, because of old resistance here, and that became new support, there was a huge move. So what I'm getting at here is that what we're seeing here, right? Is the old resistance going to become new support? Is the old resistance becoming a new support? And I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping that it will, because I'm still holding a lot of our positions here. So let's zoom in here and let's do, you know, minor term analysis. I'm just kind of looking at my other screen just to make sure if I missed anything. No, I cover pretty much what's important. I mean, there are little things here and there that I didn't. I mean, we also are, you know, daily chart. Obviously, we're daily chart, you know, overbought status. You see how fast this thing came down, like just boom. And yes, you know, minor to intermediate term, we do have a lower highs. I was talking about primary term. Can you call this primary term? No, we cannot, right? You see how fast this thing came down. You know, many times if this market really wanted to cultivate certain topping pattern, it would have done so with the manner that qualifies as a topping pattern, started cultivating more of a, you know, primary term lower highs and lower lows. And I would fear that more, because then that's a cultivation. Once we get the cultivation, that's a signal that the bear market is commencing. But then what happened was we just got straight, like, you know, you can see that just 3 days, boom, boom, bang. Like, I've never seen that historically. And a lot of times when you get a straight down move, you know what I'm saying? A straight down move, a lot of times meet with a straight up move. We had a straight down move here with a straight up move, with a straight down move here with a straight up move, with a straight down move here with a straight up move, with a straight down move here with a straight up move. This is a bigger scale, I get it. That straight up move could also be a bigger scale. You see, cultivation is what, if you're a short-term trader or day trader, all these shenanigans, all this stuff that I'm talking about, it doesn't mean anything to you. But if you are a long-term trader, if you're an investor in this market, this is very, very important. This straight down move, and again, obviously anything can happen in the market as far as the probability is concerned. I really think there could be pretty strong bullish move at this point, because this was marked by fear. It's just panic. It's not so much as like we're actually not stable as a market, as an economy, but it's just investors and traders just panicking, completely panicking. Or it could be, you know, these big banks, these central bankers are creating fear or rumors so that they close out their positions and start buying it at a cheaper price for their gain, because they got so much money they're moving in that they can actually control these kind of pullbacks, or control these kind of, or make it happen, or they can, you know, establish that sharp pullback, or you know, sharp correction. Whatever reason might be, I think this straight 3 days down move, I'm gonna call it a bluff. Again, I might be wrong. I'm gonna call it a bluff, a market crash bluff, global meltdown bluff, before we continue higher to the upside. But that's just my guess, my opinion. But I want market to tell me that I'm wrong or if I'm right. Right? So looking at this, obviously minor term, we're bearish. Minor term bearish, intermediate term bearish. We talked about a major primary term, we're not yet bearish yet. And there's a lot of moving average that we need to get over, right? You can get all the way up here. We can, this is where all resistance is. We can get up and meet that and then tank. That could become potential major primary term topping pattern. However, because we spent here for so long that, and because this thing was such an abrupt sell-off, as this thing starts to get up to the upside, we might get so much momentum, because we came down so hard that as this thing goes, because one thing about this market is once this thing goes, sometimes you can't like stop it. We may even push right through it, right? Like we did this, and then you see how we like push right through it, push everything. This was, again, this is the same time where everybody's talking about what? Left shoulder head, and this is going up to roll over. That would have been a problem. That would have been correction. Then it never happened. It never happened. It just continued higher, and then just finally we did that. Same logic is applied here. In a big scale now, are we going up to do this? Or are we just going to completely ignore all this shenanigan? We V-shaped higher, and we did this, or are we going to do something like that again, and then do another shenanigan, right? So Dow Jones as of today, minor term bearish, intermediate term bearish, primary, I'm talking about major primary term, we are still bullish. There is no major primary term topping pattern as of today yet. I just spent 30 minutes on Dow Jones, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the S&P 500. But S&P 500, we are where we're at is this. Let me actually adjust this. Right there. right? Let me go to oscillators. Let's look at this. So same thing as we looked at S&P on the Dow Jones, right? This is where we're at. Weekly chart, guys. Weekly RSI. Pretty similar to what? Back in 2011. Similar to 1987 July, and then 1990. We got this abrupt pullback here, abrupt sell-off here. We had that abrupt. This was more of a topping pattern. Abrupt sell-off today, here, here, here. Right? And you might be asking, well, okay, why aren't you not looking at these? Well, those are in a downtrend. Those are in a downtrend. So sentiment is different. We're just measuring the uptrend. Right? We're measuring the uptrend. So you can see it right here, right here. Pretty similar to Dow Jones, right here, right here. So sentiment is, signaling here that the sentiment does look similar to 1919 and 1990 and 1987, and same with the 2011 as well. Let's go to chart. 2011. This one actually had a primary term lower high. This is why I was not able to call this, because market usually give you that primary term lower high, and I was looking for that, and it didn't give me any of that. You see, I mean, this is pretty much like equal highs, and it didn't give me that lower high, and I thought maybe we'll get a lower high here and then roll over, but it just decided we're just gonna tank. So I think it caught most people a surprise. So don't beat yourself up if you weren't able to call this. I wasn't able to call this, and it happens. This is market. This is crazy. Anyway, so we're in a primary term uptrend, that's for sure. Because to be honest with you, back in 2011, well, this thing broken below the support right here. You can see that. And then we came down, and it created what? Another support. That's what it does. When you're in a primary term uptrend, what it does is it creates another support. And we're at this point. And you could say, well, okay, we came down here at that support. That's correct. That's exactly what we did like here. I mean, we didn't come all the way down to the support, but we got pretty close to this pivot right here. This was actually this old resistance becoming that new support. We came down a little bit, but that's how it bounced. Right? This was back in 2011. Boom, boom, boom. And then we're back here. Right? So I'm not going to spend too much time. Let's go to minor term. Again, we are looking at S&P 500 index itself, daily chart. We're below all these moving. And look at this, 3 days, 1, 2, 3. That's crazy. I don't think we've ever seen that happening, even historically speaking. That is just crazy shenanigan. Through some, last week, we threw inverted hammer. You see that candle in the middle of it? Here. Right there. Inverted hammer. We have what we have. Looks like possibly one white soldier. Again, it's Wednesday, so it's a daily chart. So today, okay, so it's not last weekend. We're looking at daily. Sorry about that. I just got confused that we might be looking at weekly. We're looking at daily. We're looking at daily chart. S&P 500 index, not spider. We threw inverted hammer. Today we threw one white soldier. What is one white soldier? We get a slight gap up, and then it closes above the body. If we can close above 1972 here, that will be known as a tower reversal. Tower reversal, because we got, basis tower, right? You can see that red and then green. We got in the middle, you got a reversal, inverted head and shoulder, or inverted hammer reversal rather. And then if it gets above, there's a gap here, so you're gonna feel that gap. That gap can act as resistance. Keep that in mind. Could be a tower reversal. And looking at that will be a minor term analysis, though. We're still below 10 EMA, so we need to first reclaim that. And there's a lot of ways we can bounce. I mean, we've seen V shapes before, so there could be another V shape here. But a lot of times this market does not want to make it easy. So then what it does is it recognizes that it had a lot of V shapes in the past. A lot of people will be probably thinking that it's going to happen. So what it does, it goes up, comes down, and creates a double bottom of some sort, or even a triple bottom of some kind. right? And then gets up. That could be a good entry. Yeah, so this was pretty much equal highs. I think that's what threw me. If this right here, if this thing was a lower high, I would have able to call this that there would have come in some steep decline if this was that. What happened was, instead of creating that lower high here, we created equal highs, and then this thing just did this. So it was tough for me to call that it was going to have something like that. And I think, you know, it could have still made its way back up, because I've seen this happening, like, you know, because it started to look more like a rectangle pattern more than a topping pattern, because I don't think I've seen a pattern like this. But anyhow, so as of today, it looks like we have a confirmation of the inverted hammer. If we can fill this gap here in 1975, I think there's potentially continuation to about 20 MA, 2031, and then that will be a strong resistance. But by the time things can get here, there might be so much momentum built from the buyers that this is gonna attract a lot of buyers. So get this though, there's so many people been wanting to be part of this market. They've been fearful that this market has been so extended with this kind of decline that there might be some brave buyers at this point that finally want to get in. You know what I'm saying? That and want to be part of this. So that could be the factor here psychologically, emotionally. So we gotta keep an eye on it. And just on a side note, please don't quote me on this, but I still have to see if we're gonna go up and then creates a lower high and then this thing just completely tanks to nothing. But if you ask me what my guess is at this point, because nobody truly knows, I'm not gonna presume upon the market. I'm not gonna undermine the market neither, but I'm not gonna presume upon the market. I'm not gonna undermine what it can't not do, but I'm not gonna presume that it's gonna do what I say it's gonna do. So I think this is a time to look for opportunity instead of being fearful. This is what I love to do when the market sees decline. I love to look for opportunity, right? Think about it. When market had a recession in 2009, when market crashed 2008, people with money made a lot of money. Why? Because they started buying these cheap houses. The housing market tanked. They started buying it in 2009, 2008. They're making a lot of money today. Some people say that's a gamble. No, it's not. It's not a gamble. If you know what you're doing, if you understand the probability, then you're just a smart investor. So we're gonna tackle Apple and Tesla, which we always do on this weekly update. But we also look at XLP, XLU, IYR, and IBB, and I want to give you what I'm watching. It's not ready for any kind of setups yet, but those are the one I'm watching for an opportunity, and we'll talk about that. Let's move on to Nasdaq. Nasdaq also. So Nasdaq, obviously, we didn't even have any kind of topping pattern. We just saw this, right? So the scale is huge, but as far as the sentiment is concerned, it's a very, very similar sentiment as that. I know the scale is a much larger scale, but it's very, very similar. Very, very similar. Look at this. Crazy shenanigan. But let's go to big long term. Alright. A major prime time. This is daily chart of a Nasdaq composite. It doesn't quite fit. So maybe we can't draw a trend, but just because we can't draw a trend doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's not an uptrend. We can't say that, right? Because obviously, if that's the theory, then well we couldn't draw any trend line here, but then we got in another uptrend, right? Let me check weekly though. Because we're working to such a prolonged uptrend, weekly might make more sense. Not so much. We actually are below that uptrend support. But then again, don't be too obsessive about it because we're there as well. Same thing here. We had an uptrend. For a daily chart, that's uptrend. And then, we stayed there. Same thing up in here. We say we had an uptrend right here. be broken below uptrend. There's no line to draw at this point, but it created a another support to draw through. You see that, and then that's when it came down, hit that, and continue on. Boom, right? So I mean, this could very well be another support that it's gonna just create a new line. So that I just want to see where we're at as far as the support line is concerned, but. Looking at weekly and monthly here, it's interesting to note that weekly Nasdaq is conveying much more bullish sentiment, because we're at an oversold status there. You just kind of, and this is what we're actually talking about this week at the club, at our club here. And again, we're not going to measure the downtrend ones, because downtrend, it's different sentiment. So we're not going to measure downtrend. We're just going to measure uptrend, primary term uptrend, right? Oh, this one's a lot. You see that? You see this uptrend? It's crazy, right? And that's something that I talked about. Is that with the members, is that this was when in 1970s, all the way to 2000. This is when we're looking for the advanced technology. We're looking for internet, computers, media, cell phones. It was that era. It was that era on the Nasdaq. This was why we had a 26 years of a bullish run. We did have abrupt sell-off between. Let me just continue to do this. There were a lot of sell-off, weren't they? There were. Look at these sell-offs. But market really never crashed or nothing, right? Oh, there were a lot. Okay, so you can see this was what? This was, we're supporting the technology era, right? We want cell phones, we want media, we want computers, internet, right? New way of doing business. Things gonna move faster. People are gonna retrieve information at home through their home and computers and internet. Let's make computers affordable. I think we're in that era. This is starting 2009, which collapsed. I mean, again, this is my just theory. Please don't call me on. This is my theory from 2008, 2009, all the way back to even all the way to 2030. What era do you think we're going into? Do anybody know? I mean, nobody's here. I'm not doing this live. The reason I'm not doing this live is I have so much to talk about. I can't address any questions, and plus, if I address questions, I kind of my train of thought, I lose that. There's so much I want to talk about today, so I didn't want to put it as a live session, because I wanted to just put it out there what my thoughts are, so you guys can understand what I think is going on. I'm not saying what I think is only right. Well, I'm only right, everybody's wrong. That's not what I'm saying. This is my analysis. This is my philosophy in the market, what I think is happening. So what era do you think we are supporting right now? I believe we are supporting nanotechnology. Nanotechnology. This is a term you use, like transhumanism, cars that is going to drive without human, or robotics. Robotics going to help us. This is where the future is coming true, right? You're going to have a this is where people are saying personal computers. Like, oh, computers are too expensive. Only business can afford it. Well, this is Steve Jobs and everybody else saying, no, let's make computers, make computers cheap so everybody can have them. Right now, we have computers in our hand and it's cheap. We have so much computing power on our hand. It's incredible what we have today. Back then, this was just a dream. Now, what are we supporting? Nanotechnology and robotics. Robotics. Obviously, can you imagine you having robots in your house help you, vacuum the house, do the dishes, play with your kids, maybe even robotic pets or something like that. Nanotechnology. What about these pills that are made out of chips? Chips very small as your blood cell, goes into your body, supposed to help you. I think that's stupid and I think that's crazy. I think Elon Musk and Steve Hawking, and they said that you know, the AI, right, artificial intelligence, and all these things is gonna be an end of humanity. They voiced that, but again, we're not here to discuss that. Let's talk stock market. If that's the case, could we see another trend like this for 30 years? And then by the time we're up there, could we see robotics? Right? We already have like 3D printers. Right? You guys know what 3D printers is, right? They're trying to make that personable where people can just own it. You can like create stuff. 3D printers. So they can print like your computer mouse. They can print, you know, like vase, or you can print, you know, fan or lamp. So that's a whole another subject, and so we'll talk about that in time to time. But that's a Nasdaq there. So as far as the Nasdaq is concerned, yes, we did see steep decline, but we always see steep decline. And you know, do we have any kind? We don't even have a lower high. You know, this thing. Look, as far as looking at the primary term, this thing just came down, and we've seen this happening on the Nasdaq. I mean, it's nothing new really. It just happens so fast that everyone's freaking out. That's about it. Everyone's just freaking out because this happens so freaking fast. But we really don't have a cultivation. Again, what's a cultivation? That's a cultivation, guys. Lower high and lower low. Right? That's a cultivation. We just came down like this. So how is it going to be cultivation? Well, if we start seeing this, that's a cultivation. And then that could be something like that. Yeah, but we don't have cultivation yet. Right. Quickly, let's look at Russell. And then I'll just summarize this really fast. Russell, you can do something like that. I mean, what did Russell do today? I haven't seen Russell. Okay, we just kind of... Okay, we got this massive invert hammer that has been confirmed. If we can get above 1156, that will be confirmation of that. But let's get one thing straight. You know, this is considered the higher low though, right? I mean, that's a low, that's a higher low, right? Same with that's low, that's higher low. That's higher low. This came down. We had a correction, but hey, that low is higher than this low, so let's call it higher low. We came down correction. Well, that low is higher than that low. Well, we came down correction. Well, that low is higher than that low, right? So, let's keep that in mind that we're still in a primary term uptrend. And when I look at Russell, I really doubtful that we're gonna have a market crash here, because though it could happen, anything can happen. Is I think if anything was going to happen, it was here. We talked about this a lot. Massive, you know, head and shoulder formation. We came down. We started nullifying it. We came down. We went up. And this, again, the scale of this is more of a intermediate term head and shoulder that did, you know, that did this. But for this to become a major term, primary term topping pattern, there's a whole lot that it has to do, which is that. And then we create that size, mega size, right shoulder. So still a lot to be, you know, cultivated before we say that this is a market top. But if this thing does get another V shape higher, something like this, and then we do something like that, then could completely nullify the whole thing. But to be fair, right? Oops. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, right? This was actually more dire situation before because this was resistance, boom, boom, boom. We actually create a higher low. And again, you can say, well, that's a massive bull trap. Well, people always say that, you know, this was a massive bull trap. This was, you know, something like that. People always say stuff like that. I mean, so we don't know that at this point. But if we can bounce from here on the Russell, it is considered as high-low. Primary term. I mean, we came down, just crushed everything, crushed all these lows, which is minor to intermediate term. So looking at, you know, minor term, obviously we're bearish downtrend, we're bearish in the intermediate term. we got like gaps here, we got gaps there, we have resistance coming up. There's a lot that it needs to do before it can actually gap back up. But this kind of abrupt sell-off a lot of times meet with abrupt buying opportunities. So I'll keep that in mind, see if that's something happen. At least if you can see continuation or follow through next few days into next week's, right? So we just looked at all these indices here, actual indices, and let me just kind of wrap that up. I just spent again, this is a weekly chart Dow Jones here. I just spent 50 minutes just doing pretty in-depth analysis there on this market indices here, and as you can see, we are throwing hammer here right on the weekly chart on the Dow Jones, which is a good sign. But so here's my thought. It's a dire situation. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of panicky emotion back there. In the air right now. People are throwing words like global meltdown. That could possibly be true, but we don't know that. So what I'm trying to do is looking at a major primary term rather. I just still want to give benefit of doubt to the buyers, as I've given you the analysis or explanations and some examples from the historical charts that we were in the sentiment in looking at the RSI and indicators and oscillators and looking at historical chart that this could be that abrupt sell-off and then before going higher. Again, the era thing that we just talked about, that are we supporting the era of nanotechnology? Are we supporting the era of robotics and artificial intelligence? And is that if that's the case, are we going to continue in that for the next 20 years or so, and then we just have abrupt sell-off in between? And so, but again, trend is assumed to be in effect until it gives us a definite signal that it has been reversed. I really cannot see this as a definite reversal signal as far as a primary term is concerned, right? That doesn't look like definite reversal signal. If we do something like this and we start rolling over, that will be a definite signal. If we jump, creates a lower high, and then roll over, that will be a definite signal in my opinion. Until then, if we just V-shape higher, I think we could continue higher, and then this will be where so many people are fearful at this point, and then so when this thing starts going, a lot of people will be getting into it, and then they'll miss a big move. This is what I'm talking about when I see market declining this way. I look at it like I see it as opportunity. So I'm going to talk about it on in this next section that we're getting into. So if you have any questions on these indices or any comments, or if you thought this was good enough, whatever, just let me know about it. Please use my blog, use comments. You can just reply on my Twitter or StockTwits. I rarely check StockTwits. Just keep that in mind. So let's go on with Apple. So I'm still holding Apple. Yes. I decided I was going to hold Apple because I saw some potential in Apple. Let's do some primary term correction analysis, right? We moved up, we pulled back. This was back in 2007. We got to about 50%. We bounced back, and then this was actually bad timing for Apple because this when 2007, 2008, this was when market was crashing, so it crashed with it. It has nothing to do with the Apple company. Again, this back in 2009, 2008 when market came down. This has nothing to do with the companies, nothing. It just was a market. There's a fearful, and so everything started coming down. So it came down, right? But the important part was after this, we saw pretty abrupt sell-off and we bounced back up. But it was the Fibonacci retracement area, the 50%. Same thing gonna happen. We had a pretty large move, and then we came down. We came straight down to that 50%. This was how I was able to call the Apple bottom back in what? Back in June, May 2013. We called market top here, and then we called market or Apple bottom, and along with the 100 SMA, and then we continued higher. And then we got up, and then I measured here to here, and we're right at that 50%. Guess where? We bounced right at that 50%, and we have looks like possible bullish piercing candle there. Again, this is a weekly chart. And this happened pretty quickly. And Apple started rolling over before the market did. But it's a good action today. We have a just crazy looking candle. I can't even categorize for anything. Looks more like it could be possibly bullish counterattack. Like, you know, we came down, we gapped down and then got up. Counterattack would be the textbook counterattack is right over here. If this was like this would have been counterattack. If it closed here. So we gapped down, went up, but I mean still, you know, we closed right about there. So bullish counterattack-ish type of candle. We got a fall. Yesterday we gapped up again, sold off, but then today we held through, kind of like, you know, we held through. So looks like that bullish counterattack has continuation or confirmation as of today. And again, we're just right on the 50% support or retracement zone, which is you know, coinciding with that support right there. But again, a lot of things that needs to be worked, the work needs to be done. Obviously, you know, we have all these moving averages down, so we're still a downtrend a bit in a minor term, intermediate term. But I to be honest with you, I think bears got greedy. I really think bears got greedy. I think if bears really truly wanted this thing to just completely crash like nothing, then I think if they would have just cultivated something here like this, I think then we would have seen crash like 2012, end of 2012. But they just came down very hard, and now it's almost feel like they're giving opportunity. Is it also all resistance area? Yes, it is. Actually hard to see. Actually, it's on a more weekly term. Let me go to weekly real quick. Let's go to line chart. Not quite on the line chart. Let's go candle. So potentially be some kind of a massive all resistance, new support type of deal. All resistance, new support before continuing, possibly. So we have a good minor term momentum going on last 3 days. That's a good thing, right? But we do have resistance going down here, and all these moving average, they're all gonna act as resistance sooner or later. So the question is, are we gonna have another V shape, move higher, right? Or are we, you know, you could even do something like this. You know, if I want this to be a perfect world, I'd like to see something like that. And if it does happen, I think Apple is going to see some serious move to the upside. Remember what I said about opportunity? Opportunity, right? I think we might see some serious move to the upside, right? Just like when we came down here, you look for opportunity. Comes down here, you look for opportunity. However, it could continue lower. Yes, there's always fear of that. So we have to make sure we analyze correctly. I can't say that as of today that Apple's gone, Apple is done, or Apple has completely bottomed. I can't say that. I need more evidence. I need more evidence. All right, I need more evidence. The last 3 days is good. Is good looking. Keep in mind that we also the weekly 100 SMA seems to be acting as support here. It acted as support right here, and so that's kind of where we're at as well. So that's just side note. It's not a huge deal though. So I would have to say minor term or bearish because we're still kind of, you know. You know what? Let me say neutral. Let's, you know what? Minor, very short term. Minor term bullish because we have momentum last 3 days. But like, you know, more of a longer minor term, I think it's bearish because we're still in downtrend. We're still below 10 EMA. So I have to say bearish. My intermediate term bearish. Primary term bullish. But if we can see at least getting up to 120, then I think there could be a good chance this thing can get up. And I think if this is a bottom, Apple can do very, very well. And this is where I'll look for opportunity. Okay, so let me look at it, and I'll give you guys some. I'll look at it, and maybe I do a post update or something like that. But again, I'm still holding my position on Apple here. Tesla, this is starting to look better for me to possibly engage. However, again, we talked about I don't want to be I don't want to go long at the top here, and it came down. And what I want to see is we're still on a downtrend though. You can see that right there. We got lower highs in the intermediate term. So what we need to see is at least cultivation of an uptrend. Something like that or some source. I don't know as of today how it's gonna bounce. I don't like holding bottom here, just going long here, and because we can hit this and just go roll over again. So I want to watch it. I don't want to spend too much time. We'll just look at it. I'll end the video with XLP, XLU. These are utility sector and the real estate, and then biotech there. Because remember I talked about opportunity. I looked at some of these sectors and consumer staple sector and all these sectors are possibly looking good potentially at position trading opportunity. So again, I'm not saying that I'm not saying go long here. Still, they need to confirm a reversal. But I'll just give you this: is that you want to see opportunity after this kind of move. Right? That's when you want to start looking for opportunity. Right there. Look at that. Look at the angle of this thing. This angle, I can't even compare it to these angles right here. This is just straight down. That's crazy, right? This is where I'll be looking for opportunity. As far as the setup is concerned, it's not ready yet. I need to see a little bit more. Again, you know what I'm saying? We might V-shape here. If this thing keep going higher, then I have to look a little bit more. I just can't tell you at this point that, you know what I mean, that it's gonna, because there's a few things it can do. I mean, it can get up and then do something like that or something. But if this can keep going straight, then next few days you have to watch closely. But we are at the support. Are we still on a primary term uptrend? Hell yes. Higher high. We're looking at major term, higher lows, major term. Are we not? Yes, we are. Look for opportunity like this. So, don't be fearful. Look for opportunity and see which stocks that has a steeply decline. But look for stocks that are still in an uptrend though. Utility sector, right? Look at that. This is where you want to get long. Here, somewhere here. Look for opportunity. And I know what you're gonna say. Okay, is this head and shoulders? Could be, but was this head and shoulders? Well, was this head and shoulders? Yeah. Well, was this kind of possibly head and shoulders? Possibly. You'd be like, well, okay, last time we had a head and shoulders and we did this. And so here, there's a possibility that we're gonna do that. So isn't it more of a short term, opportunity to short? Yes. But if we clear this level, we don't have that yet. That's why I'm saying it's not ready yet. But if you understand this, there's always right here. There's a fear. Can you see the fear here as well? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. What if I say, well, okay, there's head and shoulder. Is it gonna do that? Well, let's not be ahead of ourselves and let's give it benefit. Let's give benefit of the doubt. And this would have been back in 2013. And then if you did that, well, you did pretty good. So today I'm saying the same thing. So I'm going to watch these potentially, when they're ready, I potentially will enter, but I want to make sure the market is going to rebound as well, because this could very well do something like that, but we haven't confirmed yet. What's confirmation? At least getting below these necklines, right? So watch that. Real estate ETF is also one of those things that I'm watching here. I know there's nothing I cannot draw any uptrend support, but that's okay. Again, this is where you're gonna come out and say, well, okay, are we gonna head and shoulders here? Well, you see, last time we had head and shoulders that never confirmed. So if it didn't confirm, not yet. Confirmation will be right here. So we're right at that level. Let me see what's going on here. Actually, we initially possibly confirmed that head and shoulders, but if market gets up, you know what it can do? I love to go long here. If this is what it does. right there, and then for another bullish run for 6 months or so, right? IBB, not Nasdaq Biotech. How many people wanted to go long on biotech, just didn't have an opportunity, or just were moving too much? Well, now is your chance. Okay, this is where you want to go long, somewhere about here. After bouncing confirmation, and then you are able to get this kind of move. Can we able to move that kind of move? Again, we need to make sure confirm this bounce. We need to make sure we confirm that bounce. If we can confirm it, this is you look for opportunity. You look for opportunity here, right? And then that's what I'll be looking at next few weeks or so. Weekly chart looks great on all these. So, you know, the staples sector, or the consumer staples select sectors, you know, utilities, and then real estate. You know, again, real estate is a bit dangerous right now. You know, I told you how to play it. And then biotech, right? They, you know, these looks like could give us a good opportunity if the market sustains its way back. And you could say, well, okay, we made a lower low here. Is that a concern? Yeah, we did that before as well. You see that we made a lower low. I specifically remember this in 2014, back last year, March. This was where a lot of people are calling that, you know, biotech is going to go to nothing. There are always people calling shenanigan all the freaking time. And obviously, you know, this would have been best time to get in and hold for about a year and a half, and you would have a massive gain. And so those are the trends that I like to grab. You know, and so I'm gonna look for that another move to the upside on these names that I just introduced to you guys. So, well, there you have it. I you know, very in-depth analysis on the indices. I just wanted to give you my take on it. You know, and just what's my thought here. So I just thought I'll just share that with you in depth. If you have any questions, if you have any comments or anything you want to say to me, that's fine. Just please, you can use my blog to leave any comments or anything like that. I like to interact with you. And so let's see what happens in the market, you know, and we'll go from there. You guys have a great, wonderful evening, and we'll talk soon.